Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So in this one here, I want to talk about, I guess, the opening minutes to episode 12. It's the actual battle at the hilltop. Like, the hilltop is on fire. We see how all of our characters are reacting to that and what they're doing. Everything is just a mess. It's really hard for them to really do anything. They're killing walkers here. They're trying to put out fires here. They're trying to help out people. It's all just too much, which is why I think they're just going to be forced to evacuate. But I want to talk about the opening minutes and what we got, because I think a few things in there actually hint at how long the battle is. I want to talk about that too. I've seen some comments on the battle being a little too short, so I just want to talk about that a little bit. I don't actually think it's that short, to be honest, and I'll explain why. But we also have some interesting things here with Judith and some stuff that I guess Carl did go through in season 3, I think. It's interesting to see her go through the exact same thing, and I'm really happy that they're actually bringing that back because it makes a lot of sense. So before we jump in, I do have to warn you that this will contain spoilers for, I guess, the beginning of episode 12. But also spoilers for episode 11. And also, I just want to say, it's kind of a recommendation. I really recommend checking out Ride with Norman Reedus. I've watched a couple episodes in the past. I've watched ones with Andrew Lincoln. There's actually one, I think, with Michael Rooker that is pretty recent. I'm not sure if that still has to air or not, but I really want to check that out, because I watched one with Dave Chappelle today, and I really enjoyed it. I think I'm going to binge all of it, actually, because, yeah, that's a really good show. But if you're new to the channel and you want more Walking Dead content like this, make sure to be a subscriber. Episode 12 is, the hype for this episode right now is just unreal. I mentioned it in another video that I just posted, but the reaction to last night's episode was unreal. Everyone is very hyped for 12, and there's just going to be a lot of stuff for us to talk about all week. And not even that, like when Alpha does die in episode 12, and I'm expecting that to happen, a week from now, we're going to be talking about the trailer for Michonne's final episode. I guess that week we'll be talking about that for the most part. And I will have to save some time for that. I'm going to have to break it up a little bit because, yes, we're all going to be wanting to talk about Alpha's death and all that, but I do want to talk about Michonne, her final arc, what that could mean for the movies and stuff. And so I will have to give time for that. It's exciting talking about this Alpha stuff and what might happen afterwards, and the Commonwealth setup, and then Maggie returning, because that's happening very soon. But Michonne, she's been so important to the success of the show. She's such a great character. It's sad that she's leaving, but, I wish Denai Guerra, all the success in the world and all the happiness in the world. And it's sad that she's leaving, but I really just can't wait to see how this character is going to be celebrated, how her goodbye is going to be handled. And leading up to that, I think, is the battle at the hilltop. I do think what happens here at the hilltop, with the hilltop being completely destroyed. I don't know exactly what type of structures will be up, if there's going to be walls, like the walls are on the hilltop, if some of that's going to be down, if it's all going to be down. If the Barrington House, I know it's still going to be there, but I'm sure it's going to be very charred looking. And what this will lead to is everyone going to Oceanside. They will regroup there and then, I guess, plan for how they're going to deal with the Whispers. Michonne, as we know, left from Oceanside, and she is likely going to be returning there after she's done with Virgil's base and that storyline. So it does line up, and it makes a lot of sense now when you consider the fact that the episodes were always intended to air this way, because I don't know when that came out, but episode 12 was supposed to be Michonne's final episode, and then 13 would be the one that we're getting this Sunday. And now that we're at this point, it makes no sense to do that. Imagine if there was a break in here. That just makes no sense. But apparently it was always intended to air this way. I guess the information people got early on about when her episode or final episode would air, it was just all a little messed up. And I do think overall, it was just shot out of order, I think. I know they did a lot of that last summer, they shot a lot of episodes out of order, but the opening minutes, we see the hilltop, it's just on fire. Everyone is struggling to, I guess, just get through this. There is a lot of fire everywhere. And in the opening minutes, we do get a lot of fighting shots, a lot of chaos, and I will say it's not too dark or anything like that. There's a lot of smoke everywhere, but that also makes sense because there's fire everywhere and it is nighttime. Visually, I don't have any issue with it. It actually looks pretty bright, which is, obviously there's fire everywhere. There's going to be some amount of brightness, but it looks really good in my opinion. I think visually, everything is there. I don't have any complaints there. I actually overall don't really have any complaints about it. I would say that I would have an issue if, say, after the opening minutes, it was over, and then we get this shot here of Negan walking on the field. It's the aftermath of the fire, and that's pretty much all we get, because that is such a short amount of time. Now, do I want this to extend, halfway through the episode? So say we get 20 minutes of 40 minutes or something like that of this battle. No, not really, because that means you're rushing the last 20 minutes. I already know it's not going to be that anyways, just because we have shots of Aaron and Negan running into each other. There's stuff with Daryl at this, or exploring this shed. Lydia's out there. People are kind of scattered everywhere. There's going to be a lot of aftermath stuff that I think will be the focus of the episode. But I do want the battle to extend a little bit past the opening minutes, at least like 5 minutes after, like 10 minutes of the 40-minute runtime or 45-minute runtime. And that I'm okay with. I think the visuals of everything, the way it was structured, I'm absolutely a fan of. I think you could probably cut this all together, take the last half, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever it was of season or episode 11, attach that to the beginning of this, and I think you would have an almost 15 to 20 minute battle sequence. Like, I think that's fine. It's not Game of Thrones, right? Where you're going to have this whole battle sequence for like an hour long or something like that. And even with Game of Thrones, it really wasn't the case that much. I think with the budget they have and with all the shots they did, what they're actually showing us here, I think they did it absolutely amazing. What I really like is that we have firewalkers, just because, I mean, that obviously that makes a lot of sense. If you're going to have fire everywhere, walkers are going through the hilltop, obviously have them go through fire. But it is just a shit show, though. I mean, they're all trying to fight back, but there's just way too many of them. And the hilarious thing about all of this is it's not all of the horde. Like, this is just such a small part of the horde. And Alpha's able to do all of this. And it really does show the impact of walkers, right? Alpha and the Whisperers, just them on their own, they're not really that big of a threat because they don't really have weapons, or, you know what I mean? They can't stand against all those communities. And so I think it makes sense that if you're a writer and you're creating this group called the Whisperers and you want them to, at this point in time anyways, with our group a part of these larger communities, if you want them to stand a chance, you have to have, like, they gotta be a big threat. And so how do you do that? You have them walk with a horde of walkers, and it's Alpha's horde. She's very proud of her horde. It's thousands and thousands of walkers. And I mean, seeing all the destruction here, what they're able to do, yeah, the Whisperers are very scary. Like, they didn't even really do much here. They just led all the walkers there. They shot tree sap at them and then shot fire arrows and stuff. And now they're just letting them basically maybe kill themselves. Like, if they're going to try and fight, they're going to kill themselves. So they know they're just going to flee, which is a change, I think, from the comic. Because in the comic, they were actually able to fight them back. From what I remember, Maggie, Carl, and Lydia, they actually beat Beta and the Whisperers. They pushed them off. They won the fight. Yes, the hilltop was on fire, but they actually won the fight. And that's a change here because it seems like everyone here has fled. They lost this fight. So the Whisperers actually won a battle, which I absolutely love that change because I actually criticized that in the comic. I found it so annoying that the Whisperers really never won a battle. Like, they tried to fight them outside of Alexandria or somewhere around there and they lost. They attacked them at the hilltop and they lost. Like, they lost everything. I like the Whisperers, but they didn't really do much. So I like that on the show they changed it. They just destroyed them and now they're forced to leave the hilltop. I can't wait to go back to the hilltop afterwards. I really want to see what happened, like I said earlier in the video. I don't think we're going to lose the hilltop like we lost the kingdom and stuff like that. I don't think so. I think that would be a lot. Like, it's kind of sad that the kingdom is just gone. We could always go back at some point, but it is most likely just kind of done for at this point. Like, I think it's better to focus on one or two communities here and there instead of having like all these communities everywhere. And then, yeah, plus I like more of our main characters to be together more often. When you have Ezekiel and Carol at the kingdom, a couple characters here at the hilltop, and a couple more at Alexandria, they're just so scattered. They're not together anymore like the old days. We do see Ezekiel getting the kids out, like he said, or he and Daryl planned. But Judith is missing. And then we get this really crazy but this little scene here of Judith. She actually kills a living person and she seems very shocked. And she's only really ever killed walkers. And I do remember a piece of dialogue that Daryl said to Judith in episode 11. She says that they're just walkers or whatever, and Daryl's like, yeah, but you know what they once were, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing there, but that was the gist of it. And we're seeing that play out here in the opening minutes of this episode. Judith is killing walkers. She's not really thinking too much of it, because I think to her, she just thinks of them as monsters. They're not really people. I think there definitely is a disconnect there, because she didn't see the apocalypse start. She didn't see people she cared about turn, really. She's just growing up with them being like this already, right? She's a kid. They're probably keeping her away from, if old people in Alexandria are dying and they turn to walkers, how they deal with that. Not even that. She's never really dealt with a person dying like that, and her actually being the reason for that person's death. This was a big focus early on, or I guess for the first how many seasons of The Walking Dead was Rick struggled with that. He didn't want to be a murderer, but in this apocalypse, it's kind of, you're forced to do really, really dangerous things. And I think Judith here, you know, she accidentally did that. She wasn't thinking, it was just walkers, right? And then this whisperer takes his mask off and he's like, please, please, please don't. And he dies there on the ground. And Judith is just like, she's shocked. She's never dealt with this. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen here. I also do want to point out that we haven't gotten any scenes or anything yet of Judith crying. Remember, we got a lot of teasers of Judith crying, and everyone is thinking, oh, it has to be Rick or Michonne related, right? Like related to Michonne's goodbye anyways. I doubt any of those shots are happening in 12. I just really don't think they're happening in 12, but I do think they're probably happening in Michonne's final episode or in episode 14, around there, 13, 14. But I'm wondering now if it is even related to Michonne's final episode, or maybe if it's just related for her dealing with killing someone, right? Because she actually did that. It might be, I don't know. The point is, it's kind of a nice callback to stuff that we dealt with in season 3 when Herschel saw Carl kill someone from Woodbury. Carl didn't seem to care at all, and that kind of worried Herschel that Carl was turning more like Shane. I love this shot though right here of all these zombies crowding in with the hilltop on fire. I mean, yeah, just absolutely amazing shot. Now, I do think there's going to be more battle footage because in the opening minutes here, we see Eugene actually go and run. I guess he's going to go get radio equipment because he sees that the attic or where he was talking to Stephanie, that attic area of the Barrington house, it's on fire. So he goes and runs over there. Rosita's like, Eugene or whatever. And so I think there's going to be some stuff of him afterwards, unless he gets cut off and he can't go up there. But there is more to this. There's definitely going to be more to this. As for how much more, like I said, probably another 5 minutes, I think. And that's really all we need. This was still pretty intense, but I can't remember who mentioned it in episode 11, but they had like, I feel like they had like 30 people. If you actually see some of the shots of when they were all set up ready to fight, they had like 30 to 40, 50, 60 people. Not even that, definitely like around 30 people. Like they had nothing. I mean, what do we want? We want them to keep fighting for a very long time all episode just to realize, okay, we have to run. The hilltop's on fire. It's pretty simple. You gotta get out of there. But yeah, I'm excited for episode 12. Make sure to post your thoughts down below. And do you think the battle is going to be long enough? And I guess, what do you think of the battle so far? And what are you expecting the battle to really be in episode 12? Are you happy that we're most likely going to be getting more aftermath stuff in terms of like what happens to the hilltop afterwards, where our characters are at, Negan and Alpha, the build to her death scene at the very end of the episode? At least I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping that the final moments of 12 are exactly that, because if it's not, I mean, what the hell have I been talking about for however long? Anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.